What's up, Broncos Country? You're not going to believe what just happened with the Denver Broncos. We were all worried about the injuries hitting our roster. J.K. Dobbins out, Alex Singleton battling testicular cancer, Pat Certain dealing with issues, and suddenly, boom. Sean Payton revealed the secret that's saving our 2025 season. This completely changes the playoff picture and proves for the 1,000th time that this coach is an absolute genius. If you're new here, I'm a die-hard Denver Broncos fan, and today I'm going to show you exactly why we're 9-2, leading the AFC, and why these injuries aren't going to bring us down. And there's a behind-the-scenes detail about Nick Bonito that's going to blow your mind. Stick with me till the end. Man, when I saw the news, I almost fell out of my chair. Alex Singleton, our linebacker, the guy with the green dot helmet, the brain of our defense, underwent surgery to remove a testicular tumor right after that insane game against the Raiders on Thursday night. All of Broncos Country held its breath. Testicular cancer, man? That's serious stuff. But then, less than a week later, comes the news that made us explode with joy. The pathology results came back negative. He was cleared to return to practice and expects to play Sunday night against the Commanders. This isn't just a medical victory. It's a declaration of war to the entire NFL. The guy barely got off the operating table, and he's already back, taking notes, talking with Vance Joseph, leading this group of beasts we call a defense. And you know what else? His teammates, guys like Riley Moss and Nick Bonito himself, said publicly that they wanted to beat the Chiefs for Alex Singleton. And guess what? We won, 22-19 at home, at Empower Field at Mile High, with Will Lutz nailing that decisive field goal that turned the AFC West upside down. But let's go back a bit, because this injury story didn't start now. Since the beginning of the Denver Broncos 2025 season, we've had to deal with setbacks. J.K. Dobbins, our running back, who was playing great, was placed on injured reserve after suffering an injury against the Raiders. For many ESPN analysts and other outlets, this would be the end of our playoff hopes. How are the Broncos going to compete without Dobbins, they asked. Bo Nix is a rookie. The offensive line can't hold up. The defense is going to have to carry the team alone. Wrong. Completely wrong. And that's where Sean Payton's secret comes in. Look, I know I've said this before, but I need to repeat it. Sean Payton is the best coach in the NFL when it comes to evaluating talent, managing crises, and making everyone believe he has no plan, when in reality he's 10 steps ahead. Remember when he said before the 2024 draft that he was actively faking that he liked other quarterbacks besides Bo Nix? The guy called Paul Manning from ESPN and planted the information that the Broncos wanted J.J. McCarthy, and everyone bought the story. But the truth? Sean Payton never liked J.J. McCarthy. He already knew Bo Nix was the guy. So much so that Jay Glazer told the story that Payton called him before the draft and said, "I want to be at Bo Nix's house when the 12th pick comes around and knock on his door." And Glazer responded, "Dude, don't look that desperate." But Payton didn't care. He knew. And now, looking back, seeing the Atlanta Falcons considering dropping Michael Penix Jr., who was injury-prone from the start, seeing J.J. McCarthy be twice as bad as Paxton Lynch, yes, worse than Paxton Lynch, we can only laugh and be thankful. So what's Payton's secret when it comes to injuries? Depth, roster development, trust in the process. He didn't panic when Dobbins went down. He already had Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime ready to step up. He didn't panic when Singleton needed surgery. He had Justin Sternad, who had 10 tackles, a personal record, in the game against the Chiefs, leading the entire defense in that historic victory, and more. Payton refused to sign expensive wide receivers in the offseason. Deebo Samuel wanted to come to Denver. Payton said, no. Cooper Kupp? No. Stephon Diggs? No. He trusts the young group he has. Cortland Sutton, who, by the way, just got re-signed. Troy Franklin? Marvin Mims? When Brandon Cooks was released by the New Orleans Saints, the Broncos didn't even make an offer. You know why? Because Payton knows he has the necessary talent, and he's right. He always is. Now, here's a question I want you to answer in the comments. When has Sean Payton told us something that didn't come true? Seriously, try to remember. Did he say Bo Nix would be special? Yes. Did he say the defense would be elite? Yes. Did he say Will Lutz would be reliable at altitude? Yes. And the guy just signed a 3-year contract extension. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints is testing new kickers every week. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Bo Nix, the quarterback nobody believed in, the guy who was drafted 12th overall and everyone doubted. He's too old, they said. He's already 24, they complained. He doesn't have a strong enough arm, they lied. And then what happened? 8 straight wins. 11 consecutive home wins at Empower Field at Mile High. A fourth-quarter performance against the Giants that went into NFL history. It was the first time a team that was scoreless through 3 quarters came back to win by scoring 33 points in the final period alone. Bo Nix became the first player in league history to rush for 2 touchdowns and pass for 2 touchdowns in a single fourth quarter. 33 points. Historic. But don't just take my word for it. Believe Vance Joseph, our defensive coordinator, who said this on Alfred Williams's podcast. I think Bo Nix is the future John Elway of the Broncos. Vance had no reason to say that. He runs the defense. He'll probably leave Denver next offseason because he's going to get multiple offers to be a head coach on other teams. But still, he looked into the microphone and declared, Bo Nix is the future of this franchise. Of course, critics will say, oh, but he had a bad performance against the Raiders in Week 10. Yes, he did. It was ugly. It was uncomfortable. But you know what happened the next week? He got up and helped beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the guys who were undefeated until recently. And he did it without a strong running game because Dobbins was out, with constant pressure, and still delivered clutch plays when it mattered. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy, who makes 15 times more than Bo Nix, had 3 interceptions in a recent game and could have had 5 by halftime. But people still think Purdy is good. Why? Because he plays for the 49ers, because he has offensive weapons around him. But take that away, and what's left? Nothing. Bo Nix is building something special in Denver. And here's the best part. He's doing it on a rookie salary. While other teams pay $50, $60 million a year for quarterbacks who barely deliver wins, we have a guy playing for a fraction of that and taking us to the playoffs as the first seed in the AFC. It's surreal. Let's get serious. This Denver Broncos defense is absurd, and when I say absurd, it's not an exaggeration. We lead the NFL in sacks. Nick Bonito, that kid from Oklahoma nobody talked much about, has 51 pressures this season, leading the entire league. He creates 28 of those pressures in under 2.5 seconds. To give you an idea of how impressive that is, according to Next Gen Stats, his pressure rate of 23% is the 3rd highest since 2018. His quick pressure rate of 12.6% is the 2nd highest since 2019, trailing only Myles Garrett in 2023. This guy is a monster. Entire teams are spending hours of game planning trying to neutralize Nick Bonito. And you know what that does? Opens up space for the rest of the defense to feast. Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers. They're all benefiting. It's like a domino effect of destruction. And the run defense? 3rd place in the league in rushing yards allowed per game. 1st place in yards per carry. Talanoa Hufanga, who came from the 49ers, has been an absolute enforcer in the secondary. Pat Surtain, too, when healthy, is unstoppable. Jaquan McMillian has become the ultimate free hitter, that guy who comes out of nowhere and destroys plays. Riley Moss, despite some silly penalties recently, is still an elite cornerback. Tom Brady, yes, retired Tom Brady, who now does NFL Power Rankings, called the Broncos one of the most complete teams in the league. and said Sean Payton is building what could be a historic defense. That's coming from the guy who won 7 Super Bowls. He knows how to recognize excellence when he sees it. Oh, and a fun fact, Mercedes Lewis, our veteran tight end, became the oldest player in Denver Broncos franchise history to take the field at 41 years old. And still, he's out there, blocking, helping, being a mentor to the young roster. That's culture. That's what Payton built here. Here's a detail few people know, but it's fundamental to understanding this team's success. We have $50 million in cap space for next year. $50 million. You know what that means? We can sign whoever we want in free agency. We can extend contracts for key players like Luke Wattenberg, who just signed a 4-year, $48 million extension, and Malcolm Roach, who came on a 2-year, $7 million deal and became a vital piece of the defensive line. We got rid of Russell Wilson and his horrible contract that was killing us. Now we're free, and with Bo Nix on a rookie contract for a few more years, we can build a super team around him. Offensive line, solved. Wattenberg at center, Quinn Miners, who's destroying everything in front of him, Alex Forsyth, Garrett Baldus, who hasn't allowed a single sack this entire season. This is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and there's more. Nick Bonito is being speculated as a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, you read that right. DPOY. If he keeps up this pace, and I believe he will, he could become the first Bronco since Von Miller to win that award. Speaking of Von Miller, you know he's playing against us Sunday night, right? For the Buffalo Bills. And there's an incredible story there. Last offseason, Von Miller had the option to choose where to finish his career. And you know, what was the first team he reached out to? The Denver Broncos. He called, tried to come back, but as he said himself, it was a quick conversation. The Broncos didn't have room, but that shows how much players want to be here. Everyone sees what we're building. Everyone wants to be part of it. So Sunday night, we face the Washington Commanders, a team that's 3-8, struggling to find identity, with a young quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who has talent, but hasn't shown consistency yet. To be honest, this is a game we have to win, not out of arrogance, but because our goals are bigger. We want to be the first seed in the AFC. We want home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We want to bring the Vince Lombardi Trophy back to Denver for the first time since 2016. And the path to that goes through winning easy games like this against Washington and then staying focused on the Raiders again, and the Packers in the following weeks. Sean Payton said the 2 key areas we need to improve are penalties and turnover margin. And he's right. Riley Moss, for example, committed 3 silly penalties in the game against the Chiefs. Can't happen. Bo Nix had some unnecessary turnovers recently. Can't happen. But the good news? These are fixable problems. They're not structural flaws. They're execution details. And with Payton in charge, I'm 100% confident we'll fix it. And here's the most insane part of everything. Even being 9-2, leading the AFC with the best defense in the league and a rookie quarterback playing like a veteran. This is the worst we're going to be for the next 5 years. Think about that. We have Bo Nix for 3-4 more years on a cheap contract. We have most of our key players signed or with extensions coming. We have cap space to improve even more. This team is only going to grow from here. I'll be honest with you, there are still people who don't believe. There are analysts saying we're a one-hit wonder, that we'll fall in the playoffs, that Bo Nix will regress to the mean. But I say to those people, watch the games. Stop just looking at advanced statistics and see with your own eyes. We've won 8 straight games. We're 7-2 in games decided by 7 points or less, a complete turnaround from 2024, when we were 1-6 in those games. You know what that means? Maturity, execution, elite coaching. It's not luck. It's not an easy schedule because we face tough teams like the Chiefs, Ravens, Chargers. It's competence. And look, I understand the doubt. We spent almost a decade in the desert after Super Bowl 50. We had Teddy Bridgewater, we had Drew Lock, we had Russell Wilson, who was a disaster. Those were years of frustration. But now? Now it's different. Because we have the right pieces in the right places. Sean Payton isn't perfect. Nobody is. But he understands how to build a winning team. He did it in New Orleans with Drew Brees, and now he's doing it again in Denver with Bo Nix. The formula is simple. Dominant defense, solid running game, quarterback who doesn't make fatal mistakes, and reliable special teams. Thank you, Will Lutz. That's it. No secret. Speaking of Will Lutz, remember when we signed him and the Denver Sports Radio, DeMac, The Drive, and others were doubting? He only plays well in a dome, they said. He won't be able to kick at altitude, they predicted. And what happened? He became one of the most reliable kickers in the NFL. And now he signed a 3-year extension. Once again, Sean Payton was right. So, folks, I'll summarize everything for you. The injuries that seemed to be the end of our hopes became fuel to prove this team is different. Alex Singleton came back from cancer surgery in record time. J.K. Dobbins is out, but Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estim are ready. Pat Surtain is coming back. And every week we see players like Justin Sternad, Mercedes Lewis, and Malcolm Roach proving that depth matters. Sean Payton built something special here. He not only found the quarterback of the future in Bo Nix, but created a culture of resilience. Vance Joseph assembled a defense that's making Patrick Mahomes look mortal. And George Payton, our GM, is making smart moves with cap space and contract extensions. This isn't just another good year. This is the beginning of a dynasty. Mark my words, over the next 5 years, the Denver Broncos will always be in the Super Bowl conversation because we have the coach, we have the quarterback, we have the defense, and we have the winning mentality. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now, like this video, share it with your friends in Broncos Nation. And answer me in the comments, what is your prediction for the game against the Commanders? How many points are we going to score? Will Bo Nix have 300-plus passing yards? Will the defense get a shutout? I want to know your opinion. And remember, we're alive in the playoff race. We're leading the AFC. We're proving the haters wrong. And all of this with a roster that wants to be here, that believes in the process, and that's hungry for that championship ring. See you in the next video, family, and as always, go Broncos.